Narayana, Narayana, Ninna Namada Smaranaya. Narayana, Ninna Namada Smaranaya. Saramritamu ಎನ್ನ ನಾಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಬರಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮದ ಸ್ಮರಣಯ ಸಾರಾಮೃತವು ಎನ್ನ ನಾಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಬರಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ. ಕಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ ಉತ್ಕೃಷ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿರಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಎಂದು ಶಿಷ್ಯರು ಪೇಳುವ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಎಂದು ಶಿಷ್ಯರು ಪೇಳುವ ಅಷ್ಟಾಕ್ಷರ ಮಹಾ ಮಂತ್ರವನಾಮ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮದ ಸ್ಮರಣಯ ಸಾರಾಮೃತವು ಎನ್ನ ನಾಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಬರಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ. ಸಂತತ ಹರಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಸಿರ ನಾಮವು ಸಂತತ ಹರಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಸಿರ ನಾಮವು ಅಂತರಂಗದ ಒಳಗಿರಿಸಿ ಸಂತತ ಹರಿ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಸಿರ ನಾಮವು ಅಂತರಂಗದ ಒಳಗಿರಿಸಿ ಎಂತೋ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲರಾಯಣ ಎಂತೋ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲರಾಯಣ ಅಂತಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಂತಿಸೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಎಂತೋ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲರಾಯಣ ಅಂತ್ಯಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿಂತಿಸೋ ಹಾಗೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾಮದ ಸ್ಮರಣಯ ಸಾರಾಮೃತವು ಎನ್ನ ನಾಳಿಗೆಗೆ ಬರಲಿ ನಾರಾಯಣ.
Famous song describing the glory of the name of Narayana. The name of Narayana, uplifting, purifies our mind and paves the way for liberation especially if it is uttered at the last moment of our life. Thank you very much. Dr. Shobhanandan from Chicago. Now let us begin our Sunday program with a prayer. Welcome to all of you, those who are here and those who are watching from home. This stanza is from the famous Shiva Mahimna Stotram, known to most of you. This hymn, Shiva Mahimna Stotram, was composed by a Gandharva named Pushpadanta. Gandharvas are a class of beings who are very adept in arts, performing arts, studio arts, painting, dance, music. So this particular Gandharva, he made some mistake and lost his power to sing, his ability to sing. Then he prayed to Lord Shiva. He composed this hymn. It is about 47 or so stanzas, and prayed to Lord Shiva and obtained back his ability to sing. So this is one stanza from that one. Om Trayi Sankhyam Yogaha Pashupati Matam Vaishnavamiti Prabhinne Prasthane Paramidamada Pathyamiti Cha Ruchinamai Chitrya Drujukutilana Patajusham Druname Ko Gamyaha Tvamasi Payasam Arnava Iva. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Various are the paths laid down in the Vedas, Sankhya, Yoga, Shaiva, and Vaishnava scriptures and other scriptures. Of these numerous paths, some people take to one and some to another, thinking that that is the best path. Devotees follow these diverse paths, some straight, some crooked, according to their different tendencies. Yet, O Lord, Thou alone art the ultimate goal of all seekers, just as the ocean is the ultimate destination of all the rivers. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. For the last 6 or 7 Sunday meetings, we have been studying the topic from the Adhyatma Ramayana, where Lord Sri Ramachandra gives instructions to Shabari on how to practice pure devotion. Pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti, Raga Bhakti or Prema is different from ordinary devotion. Ordinary devotion, which almost everybody has. Ordinary devotion is Vaidhi Bhakti. It consists of doing certain types of rituals, repeating God's name a certain number of times, going on pilgrimages, doing charity, studying scriptures, all those things. But in all those spiritual devotional practices, there is some element of seeking something from God. We always seek something from God. There in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, which many of you are familiar with, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, 4 kinds of people worship me. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritina. They're all towards some good deed. They are doing the right thing by praying to God. The four kinds of people are different in their motivations, the reason why they worship God. First of them is Artha. This Arti means some kind of suffering, any kind of suffering. And a person who is in distress, having some problem, he prays to God, seeking relief from that suffering. Artha's prayer can be any kind of problem, family problem, job problem, financial problem, health problem, children problem, numerous problems people encounter in their lives. That is one reason why people worship God, seeking relief from suffering. Then another kind of person with a different motivation also prays to God. He is Artharthi. Artha means, general meaning of Artha is any object. Anything other than the self is Artha, object. Animate, inanimate can be another person. It can be money, it can be a job, whatever. Artharthi means a person who does not have something that he or she wants to have, and prays to God, seeking that thing, that missing thing, hoping that if that is provided by God, by the grace of God, if it comes back, comes to him, whatever he or she is seeking, his life will be happier, fuller, better. That is the contention. Asking God for something which one does not have, hoping that if that missing thing is supplied, life will be better, fuller, happier. That's second kind of motivation to pray God, seeking something from God. The third kind of person who prays to God is seeker of knowledge, jignasu. Jnana means knowledge. Jignasa means the desire to have knowledge. Here, knowledge means knowledge of God, not worldly knowledge. Paravidya, not aparavidya. For that also people can pray. In our childhood, we used to, the day before the exam, we used to keep the books and worship the books. Instead of studying the books for exam, we would worship the books with flowers and incense and some naivedyam, almonds, raisin, whatever our mother gave. Prayer to God to give us knowledge. But in this case, jignasu means a person who seeks knowledge of God. That's another motivation, noble motivation, to pray to God, O Lord, reveal your true nature to me. Then the fourth kind of person does not seek anything from God, is a jnani. Artha jignasu, artharthi jnani. A jnani may have some need for something, still will not ask God to provide that thing, because jnani has full devotion. He is fully convinced that the Lord knows better than myself what I need. And without my having to remind him, he will himself provide what is necessary for me. That is the promise of the Lord in the scriptures. In Gita we have read in the 9th chapter, Yogakshema mohamyaham. If you are devoted to God, then Lord will provide what we need. He will protect what we have, Yogakshema. So with that belief, with that conviction, a jnani does not seek anything. Even if the jnani is in some kind of trouble, something is bothering him, then also he will not seek relief from that suffering from God. Everything happens by the will of God. The name of God, devotion to God, gives him enormous strength to bear any kind of suffering. The Gita will say, Yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. Even if by the severest calamity, if it happens across to a person, a devotee is not going to be moved by that. He has so much conviction, so much faith that he will not seek relief from suffering also. He is the highest kind of devotee. Now, in this Adhyatma Ramayana, when Sri Ramachandra meets Shabari, he gives her instructions on how to practice that kind of pure devotion, where there is no seeking, there is no selfishness, only pure love for God, praying to God out of pure love. not with any other motivation. Unmotivated, motiveless devotion. How to practice that one? We have been studying the topic for some time now. This instruction, Sri Rama gives 9 instructions, a list of 9 things. Some of those instructions have some subdivisions. So if you count all the subdivisions, it will be 14 or even more. Some of them have subdivisions. All those instructions Sri Rama gives. He does not give any explanation how to practice them. He just gives the instructions. This set of instructions you see in the Adhyatma Ramayana, not in the Valmiki Ramayana. There are many different Ramayanas. The earliest Ramayana is Valmiki Ramayana, Valmiki Adikavi. Then other Ramayanas, other sages have written. Next to that, now most famous Ramayana is Tulsidasa's Ramcharitmanas, written in Awadhi language, which people could understand. Then in Tamil there is the Kamba Ramayana. In Bengali there is the Kritivas Ramayana and many others. In Kannada there is Pampa Ramayana. So many Ramayanas are there. In the Adhyatma Ramayana, which is a shorter book, it only has about 2000 some number of verses approximately. There the main emphasis, as the title itself indicates, is Adhyatma, knowledge of the self. Knowledge, devotion included. Story serves as a background only. Story is not the main part. There, this set of instructions Rama gives to Shabari. So far we have finished Samadhi Sahitam. Samadhamati. So this is not something that we can depend upon for happiness. It is not a source of happiness. It has a certain function. Human birth is a most precious gift that one can have, and we have been granted that most precious gift. The only purpose why we are born as human beings, the only reason why God has given us human birth is to use this human life as an instrument to realize the ultimate goal of human life, namely to know God. And for that, we have to give up attachment to all worldly things. We may have them, but internally we have to be detached from them, not depend upon them as sources of happiness. That is Vairagya. It includes desire for heavenly enjoyment also. Ihamutra phalabhoga viragaha. Iha means enjoyment in this life. Normally people seek happiness in various worldly things. Property, money, family life, children, relationships, and position, power, fame, and all these things. None of this can give true lasting happiness. They do sometime, and they also bring pain. And everything will stop at some time. Adyantavantaha kaunteya natesha ramate buddha. These are all temporary. They have a beginning and an end, and a wise person does not depend upon them. If it comes, it's okay, thank you. If it does not come, it's okay. If it leaves, thank you for being with me. Thank you very much. No attachment. That is Vairagya, briefly. Then the third discipline of the 4 Sadhana Chaturshtayam 4 disciplines is Shamadhamadi. That is what Sri Ramachandra explains. He mentions only that one, not the other 3 disciplines of Sadhana Chaturshtayam. So we'll briefly go through this. Many of you are familiar with Shamadhema when Swamiji taught Viveka Chudamani. We just briefly will go to that. Sri Ramachandra does not give the whole list of the 6 things. He simply says Shamadhamadi. That is all. Very brief instruction only, no explanation. Sri Ramachandra gave. So Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, Samadhana, Upariti, Shraddha, Samadhana. First one is Shama. Shama means tranquility. In the Viveka Chudamani, Shankaracharya describes tranquility as Virajya Vishaya Vrata Dosha Drishtya Muhurmuhu Swalakshye Niyatavastha Manasa Shama Uchate. Keeping the mind always calm and tranquil. Shama means tranquility of the mind. Not being attached to sense objects. Shama is the tranquility of mind achieved by repeatedly detaching the mind from objects of sense pleasures, knowing their weakness. no sense object in this world. The sense object can be another person, it can be money, it can be property, money, house, children, whatever be the sense object. No sense object in this world can give us lasting, permanent, pure happiness. It has to only come from one source, namely self within. So a seeker of self-knowledge or pure devotion has to gradually develop detachment towards the sense objects and bring the mind back and make it dwell on the self within, on God within. And mind should be kept always calm, unperturbed, no matter what happens. Whereas something pleasant happens, unpleasant happens, a devotee or a jnani, seeker of jnana, should not become perturbed by it. That we have studied in the Gita, many places. In the Gita, in many places, Sri Krishna says, no matter what happens, pleasant, unpleasant, painful, or pleasurable, one should remain calm, maintain equanimity, calmness of mind. That calmness of mind is called Shama, first one of the 6 disciplines. Next one is Dhamma. Then sense organs. 5, 10, 11, whichever answer you give is going to be right. Mind is all the 11 sense organ. Keeping all this under control, because all these 5 sense organs of perception, jnanendriya, they pull us in 5 different directions. And the mind takes us in a 6 different directions. Eye wants to see something pleasant, whether good or bad, it's not the consideration, must be pleasant. Tongue wants to eat something, taste something, whether it is good health for health or not. No, I want to taste the food. Ear wants to hear something, whether it is good or not. Like this, the 5 sense organs, jnanendriyas, they pull us in 5 different directions and mind in a 6th direction. So we have to gather all of them and not be attracted to sense organs, controlling the sense objects, controlling sense organs. That discipline is called Dhamma. Vishayebhyah paravartya sthapanam swasvagolake ubhayesham indriyanam sadamah parikirtitaha. Shankara's definition of Dhamma. Both kinds of sense organs. Vishaya ubhayeshanam indriyanam. 2 kinds of sense organs. Those of perception, those of action, motor organs. They all have to be controlled. That discipline, controlling sense organs, is called Dhamma. Shama, Dhamma, 2. That's the only 2 Sri Rama mentions. Shama, Dhamma, he says, Adi means etc. Doesn't even list all these 6 things. Then the 3rd discipline of the 6 disciplines is Upariti. Upariti means withdrawing the mind and sense organs both from their desire to contact with sense objects and making them dwell on the self. In the Vivekachudamani, Shankara defends Upariti as Bahyanalambanam vritteresho paritiruttama abahya analambanam. Alambana means dependence. Generally, we depend upon sense objects, outside objects, other people, situations, money, property, food, etc. to find happiness. The dependence is there. But they don't give really happiness. They give some pleasure, but they also give a lot of pain. And they go away, causing only pain. So, not depending upon sense objects. Looking for happiness in the self, where the only place where it can be found. Infinite, eternal, imperishable, unchanging, pure Ananda is only in the self within or in God within. God is present within us all. That discipline is called Upariti. Depending upon sense objects for pleasure is the worst thing, that mistake we can do. You can see this in the case of Nachiketa. In the Kathopanishad, we study the story of Nachiketa, a young boy. We'll skip the story part. You are familiar to you and it will take some time. So he goes to the abode of Yama. and waits there for 3 days for Yama to come back from wherever he was traveling. And Yama offers him 3 boons. The third boon that Nachiketa asks for, self-knowledge. What happens after death? Will something remain? Or that's the end of everything? Is the body the only thing? The body perishes when death comes. Is that all? Or is something other than the body still survives the death of the body? That means he is seeking self-knowledge. And Yama didn't want to answer that question, probably for 2 reasons. One is, this was a very little young boy, maybe 8-9 years old child. He's asking such a profound question, which even most adults don't think about. Is he really serious about it, or is he asking this question to impress me? Sometimes people do that one. That's one reason. Second reason why Yama hesitated was, if he is indeed serious, and if the answer is given, is he capable of understanding it? Does he have the background, Viveka, Vairagya, everything to understand self-knowledge? So Yama offers various things to this boy, Nachiketa. He says to Nachiketa, you are still very young, don't have to worry about death for a long time. I will give you many things. Instead of this boon you are asking, self-knowledge, why don't you take all these things? I'll make you a king of a very large kingdom. As large a kingdom as you want, I will grant. Bhumir Mahadayatanam Muranishwa. You can choose how large a kingdom you want to have. I'll give you queen and horses and chariots and music and dance and everything, and a long life to enjoy all these things. Please take all these things and don't worry about what happens after death. Yama's offer. Nachiketa was not made of that ordinary kind of stuff. He said, no, sir. I want answer to my question. Keep all the music, dance, everything for yourself, he says. Nachiketa gives a very firm answer, astounding, displaying astounding wisdom for a young boy. He says, I don't want all these things because they are there today, tomorrow they are not there. Shobhava, Mrityasya, Edanta, Kaita. Shobhava means tomorrow they are not there. Very temporary. All these things you are offering, kingdom, queen and treasury, horse, elephant, dance, music. Today they are there. I don't want that one, temporary thing. The second reason he gives is, no matter how much money, wealth you give, a person will not be satisfied. Greed will be there. Navityena tarpaniyo manushyaha. No matter how much wealth, money and things that money can buy is given to a person, there will be no satisfaction. Greed will be there. Desire for more will be there. I don't want that one. Self-knowledge is the only thing that gives permanent satisfaction. Then the third reason Nachiketa refuses all the offerings that Yama made is, how long can I enjoy even if you give all these things? How long can I enjoy kingdom? How long can I enjoy good food and music and dance and horses and elephants? Even if all of them are there, when I become old, body becomes old, they will not be able to enjoy all these things. Enjoyment of sense pleasures will rapidly deplete the acuity of sense organs to enjoy the sense pleasures. How long can we keep on eating good food? When a person is young and strong, he can eat all the pizza, cheesecake and whatever he wants he can eat without counting calories and sugar. How long? After some time, the body loses ability to enjoy food. Food will be there. No, I don't want these things. I want answer to my question. That kind of determination, that is bringing the mind back, not being attracted to sense objects, whatever they be, and seeking self, knowledge only in the self, peace and joy only in the self. Then the next discipline is titiksha. Titiksha, Shraddha, Samana, 3 more remaining. Titiksha means forbearance. No person's life is free from suffering. All kinds of problems afflict human beings, animals and plants also. So, when suffering comes, how to bear them? That is a very important question, because everybody will have some kind of suffering at some time or other. Some people, suffering comes later in life. Some people enjoy old age in good health. The details vary, but suffering is inevitable. No matter how powerful a person is, how rich a person is, how knowledgeable a person is, suffering is inevitable. So, Shankara's instruction is to practice forbearance. Whatever cannot be prevented or remedied has to be borne. We can take preventive measures to foresee and offset suffering. We can follow rules of health, follow diet restrictions and exercise and all those things to prevent health problems. You can buy health insurance, property insurance, all those things you can buy, foreseeing and preventing problems. But in spite of all the preventive measures that we can take, still problems will come. Then the second thing that we can do is to take remedial measures, whatever remedial measures we can take. When some health problem comes, we go to a doctor, seek medicine, medical help, things like that. Even after taking all the remedial measures that are available to us, still problems will remain. Or some other part of the problem will remain. Something will go, something will remain. Then what to do? Then the third and last thing we have to do is to practice forbearance, titiksha. So practicing forbearance, what cannot be prevented, what cannot be remedied, has to be borne patiently, calmly, without worrying, without brooding, without lamentation. That discipline is very important for all people, not only seekers of God, but for everyone. Shankara defines this titiksha as sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. Apratikara purvakam means certain people don't even take any remedial measures. If suffering comes, they will. The earlier type of sannyasis were like that. They were wandering monks. If they became sick, they would lay down under a tree and whatever happens, let the body as long as it lasts. No remedial measure, no retaliation, no revenge also. But we are not like that. We have to take preventive measures, remedial measures, so that if I become sick, it affects other people too. Not only I that I am suffering, if I don't take preventive remedial measure, but my suffering affects other people too. So we have to be considerate and take reasonable preventive remedial measures. If all those fail, then practice titiksha. How to practice titiksha? Chinta vilaparahitam, without brooding. Brooding about the past, what happened, so many things, problem came last year, 10 years ago. And brooding about the future, this may happen, that may happen, imagining worse things that can happen, that could happen. That need not be done. Just deal with the present, take whatever action is necessary. Vilapa means lamentation, telling everybody about all their problems all the time. And if you describe, somebody has to simply ask, how are you, or hi. Then this person starts telling all the litany of problems, what happened last year, this year, what's happening. Not necessary. With one or two close friends, we can unburden ourselves and feel some comfort. We can have to express. Don't have to keep it suppressed. We can express our feelings, but not with everybody all the time. Vilapa, too much lamentation is not good. The discipline is titiksha. The next one, in the practice of titiksha, you can see in the life of Sri Rama himself. Sri Rama was supposed to, the day of coronation, Dasharatha decided Rama will be the next king, who wanted to hand over kingdom to Rama, eldest son, and repair to the forest as kings used to do those days, to go to Vanaprastha. Date for coronation was decided. All the preparations were made. Whole kingdom, Ayodhya, everybody was very happy. People were very happy. Rama is going to be the next king. But suddenly, the circumstances changed. In a moment, circumstances changed. Rama was supposed to go to the forest, and Bharata was supposed to take over the kingdom. Then when that sudden reversal of things happened in a moment, An ordinary person would have become upset. I am the eldest brother, son, I have to get the kingdom. Bharata is a very young, I have the right to be the next king, like that. Rama did not do no such thing. So I'll be happy to go to forest. He says, Prasannatam jnana gatabhishekatah tathanamamlau vanavasa dukkhataha. We chant this in the Ramnam Sankirtan. When he was supposed to be made the king, he did not overly become exalted and started celebrating, oh, I'm the next king, I'm the king, like that one. Took it calmly, okay, if I am made the king, I'll do my best to serve the subjects. No too much elation or exaltation. No, Spheres remained calm. He maintained calmness. The next moment when you're supposed to go to the forest, Vanavasa Dukkhataha, then also he did not become upset. It's okay, I have to go to the forest, I'll go to Ram. Bharata can become the king, I have no problem. I'll go to the forest, I have to fulfill my father's wishes. Obedient son, whatever my father says, I have to do. My mother, Kaikeyi, stepmother. So went over to the forest with no problem, no complaining, no anger, nothing. That is equanimity. That is titiksha. For whatever comes, taking everything calmly, remaining unperturbed. The next discipline, fourth one is Shraddha. Shraddha means not just blind faith, but an informed conviction that there is some reality behind what is visible in this universe, and that is to be known, and that is within us. How do we know this one? There are several pramana. We don't go into the topic of pramanas now, it's a big topic. The best proof is one's own direct experience, pratyaksha. If I myself have seen God directly, then I have no doubt about the existence of God. Nobody else, I don't need any other proof. I have seen myself, experienced God's presence. Sri Ramakrishna said, we can experience, we can see God, we can talk to God as we are talking to each other, which he himself did every day. It's possible. If I do that one, pratyaksha, anubhava, then I have no doubt. But that's a long-term problem. It's not so easy to see God in our lifetime. We have to strive. Pending that, we have other pramanas. Shruti pramana, Upanishad, Vedas, Upanishads say God exists, some reality exists, Atman exists, and that's present within all those things we read in the Upanishad. That is enough proof to start our search. You can't depend upon that one. Still it is a second-hand knowledge, what Upanishad says. It must be my experience. But that serves as a hypothesis basis for me to start my search for my own experience. And then there is Aptavakya Pramana. Great sages, teachers, numerous teachers, sages, Mahatmas over centuries, millennia. They have all experienced God. And based on their experience, they have said God exists and God can be seen, you can see God too. Sri Ramakrishna said that one. When Naren asked Sri Ramakrishna, have you seen God? For the first time and only time Naren got this answer, yes, I have seen God. Unequivocal, definitive answer, affirmative action. I have seen God. I am seeing God more clearly than I am seeing you, and you too can see God. That is the only time Naren got that answer. He had asked that question of so many other people. Everybody was giving long lectures on God. One person said, I have seen God. That is the truth. So, we have to have conviction in that one. Otherwise, there is no basis for our spiritual practice. The Shraddha, concept of Shraddha, I give an example, how it works. Supposing you are traveling long distance, say from here to Philadelphia or New York, and then you are traveling on 95 North. And at some point you stop at a rest area for refreshments, resting. Then you want to come back to 95 North. Then you cannot find an exit to 95 North, we get lost, and you don't know which way to go to 95 North. All local roads, we are going round in circles. Then what do? You see a gas station there. Then you go to the gas station attendant and ask them, I want to go back to 95 North, how can I go? The gas station attendant says, you make a left turn here at the exit of the gas station, go for 1.5 miles, you'll see a traffic light. Traffic light, you make a right turn, go for 2 miles, you'll see 95 North. Exit sign you will see. That's the instruction gas station attendant gives. Now you have two choices. You can either believe the gas station's attendant and follow the instructions, or you can doubt his instructions and stay there. How do I know that this man is giving the right instruction? He may be misguiding me. If I have that doubt, and if I don't follow the instructions, then what will happen? I'll be there in same place. Gas station until will close at 10 o'clock at night, he'll close the shop and go home. You will still be waiting there, doubting his words. That's not the way. You have to accept his word temporarily, tentatively as the truth. He has no motivation to misguide me. He said, make a left turn here, go 1 mile, see a traffic light, make a right turn 1.5 miles or 2 miles, 95 North, you will see. You can ask him, are you giving me the right instructions? The gas station attendant says, I have given this instruction to many people. I have gone there myself many times. So please follow, we will go to 95 North. That's all he can do. If you keep on pressing him, you say, get lost, I have other customers to attend to. So you have to put some trust in the gas station attendant's instruction. Follow the instruction. Then only you will know whether it's right or wrong. If you don't follow the instruction given by him, you will be standing there. You don't make any progress. We don't want that one. So all the sages are saying, based on their experience, God exists. This is the way to see God. Different paths for different people. We have to follow one of the instructions. Then as we follow, if he makes a left turn, goes 1 mile, he sees a traffic light. So then it gives some faith. So far he is right. There is a traffic light, as he said. So the rest of the instruction could be true also. Make a right turn there, as he said. Go 2 miles. You see the sign. Oh yeah, the instruction he gave was right. So that initial trust we have to have in the words of the scriptures, in the words of the sages, who are telling from their experience. Then you have to follow the instructions. As we follow the instructions, at every step we get more conviction. So far it is right. Then we reach the goal. That kind of trust is necessary in the words of the teacher, illumined teachers, in the words of the scriptures. So this is Shraddha. Shankaracharya defines Shraddha in this way, the Vivekachudamani. Shastrasya Gauravakyasya Satyabudhyavadharanam Sa Shraddha Kathitha Sadbhihi Jaya Vastupalabhyate. What Shastra means here, Upanishads. Guru Vakya means teachers, illumined teachers' words. We have to trust in them, think that they are the truth, that they depict the truth, follow them. Shraddha. The last one is, got to speed up a little bit. Samadhana. Samadhana means not thinking of pleasant objects, daydreaming and keeping the mind calm. Not that one. Sarvada sthapanam buddhe shuddhe brahmani sarvada. Keeping the mind always on the divine presence within us. All the scriptures are saying God is present within everyone. Gita, that theme comes several times throughout the Gita. God is present in all, in the same way. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. Are familiar to you, Gita students. Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishta, 15:15, like that one. So we have to focus attention on the divine presence within us and withdraw attention from the worldly sense objects, which are distractions, waste of time. That discipline is called samadhana. So then the last instruction, I have to speed up a little bit. The last instruction is 9th one, inquiry into the nature of reality. That's the one quest of human beings. You can know inquire into so many things. People now have pictures of galaxies which are millions of light years away, going back into time. You can see them on your computer screen. That a new telescope, James Webb telescope, they launched recently, NASA line. It helps us to go back in time how things were millions of years ago. Yeah, we are seeing that now, and so many light years away, we can't go. All those things we know, but that knowledge is, while it is necessary to some extent and important, aparavidya is not the end. We have to know one thing most important that we have to know is your true nature. Vedanta says you are not the body and the mind that you think you are. You are the self. You are the Atman, Tattvamasi. That we have to verify and experience. Knowing intellectually is not enough. But we have to experience our own divine nature, experience. And that is the last instruction. He says, inquiry into the nature of reality, tattva vicharo mama. Gita also says that one. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam. Tattva jnana means knowledge of the truth. Knowledge of the truth. It is said. That we have to know. Otherwise, we will spending our whole lifetime under the misapprehension that I am the body, mind, this world is real, seeking happiness there, waste of precious gift of human life. Most precious gift is human life, has been given to us. If we squander it away by not knowing our true nature and pursuing worldly pleasures, we'll be making the biggest blunder. We should never waste even 1 second of this human birth. It's the most precious gift. Only by the grace of God, human birth happens, accrues to us. Shankara says that early in the Viveka Chodamani. 3 things happen only by the grace of God. Durlabam Traimaveta, Daivanugraha Hetakam. Only by grace of God we get 3 things. All of us have these 3 things now. That means we all have all the requirements that are necessary to know God, to know our true nature. In spite of that, if we don't do it, that is our own mistake, pramada, biggest pramada. So that is the last instruction. Know the true nature. Tattva vichara, knowing the nature of reality. One way or the other, so many different ways to know God. Those who believe in God with, in personal God with name and form, devotional worship, singing God's names and glories, doing puja, etc. One way, easier way. Sri Ramakrishna says again and again, for Kali Yuga, Bhakti Yoga is the simplest way. In earlier yugas, people were doing other disciplines. In the first Treta Yuga, even Rama was not there. Rama came in Krita Yuga. Rama came in Treta Yuga. Before that, there Krita Yuga was there, first Yuga. At that time, the main discipline people used to follow was meditation on the self. Upanishad kind of meditation, upasana, atmopasana. That is difficult for majority of people. First, earliest discipline, first yuga. Then Treta Yuga, when Sri Ramachandra came, the most common spiritual practice in vogue at that time was performing Vedic rituals, elaborate Vedic rituals described in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. Rishis used to do that in their hermitages in the forest. And then the Rakshasas used to come and put obstruction. They didn't want the Rishis to succeed and get some powers and go to heaven. Rama used to go and kill all the Rakshasas and remove the obstruction, like that one. Vedic rituals, second yuga. In the Dwapara Yuga, ritualistic worship became the most common way of worship. Temples were built in congregational worship, individual worship, elaborate ritualistic worship, Vedic worship, Vedokta Puja Paddhati, they became very common. Now, in the present Kali Yuga, all those things are difficult to meditate on Atman. Yeah, they did in the first Yuga. Difficult to perform Vedic rituals, very elaborate requirements. And difficult to perform ritualistic worship also. What's the simplest way? For Kali Yuga, chanting the name of God is the most efficient way, simplest way that everybody can do to reach God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this one. For Kali Yuga, chant the name of God. You don't have to do anything else. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Namaiva Kevalam. Kalau Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyatha. Kalau means in the Kali Yuga, Anyatha Gatir Nasti. There is no other way. Simplest way is Harer Nama, chanting name of Hari or any name of God. So that way, different paths are there to know the ultimate reality, to know God. So these details Sri Ramachandra did not give. He just gave the instruction. Now we have a very brief review of the whole 14 instructions Sri Ramachandra gave in the Adhyatma Ramayana. He gave to Shabari. When Sri Rama and Lakshmana were searching for Sita, not knowing where Sita was, where she disappeared, who took her, what happened to her, and they went here and there. And in their roaming about, when they were roaming out in the forest, they came across a very grotesque Rakshasa, Kabanda. That Rakshasa had only two large arms, very large arms, and only a stomach was there. Head and everything was compressed into that torso, big stomach in the middle. And that Rakshasa was sitting in the forest with huge arms. Whatever came between the arms, he would gather all of them, put it into the stomach right away. End of that one. So somehow Rama Lakshmana, they got into that one. They didn't know what they were getting into. The arms began to close, and if they delayed, they would be all swallowed up into the stomach of that Rakshasa. So Rama says, no. Says to Lakshmana, you take care of one arm, I will take care of the other arm, then this Rakshasa will be killed. So Lakshmana, with his bow and arrow, takes care of one arm of this Kabanda Rakshasa, Rama other arm. When both arms were taken away, then this Kabanda, he was a Gandharva in this. So he comes up with his true, beautiful, handsome Gandharva form. He was released from a curse. What had happened was, this Kabanda Rakshasa was a very handsome Gandharva, very gifted Gandharva, devotee also. He did something wrong and infuriated Indra. Indra became very angry. So Indra has his Vajrayuda. Indra became angry and gave a big blow to Kabanda's head, that Gandharva's head like this. The whole body became compressed, telescope. Only torso remained, two arms remained. Then the Gandharva begs for forgiveness from Indra. Sir, I made a mistake. Please tell me how to get out of this. Indra says, all right, you wait here. After some time, Rama Lakshmana will come. They will release you from this grotesque form and you regain your handsome Gandharva form. They can go to Gandharva Loka after that. So shows a way out of that curse, out of that problem. So Rama Lakshmana, when they took care of the two arms, Gandharva regained his handsome form and he prays to Rama Lakshmana. He says, thank you for releasing me from this grotesque form. Now I know you are looking for Sita. If you go this way, you will find a ashrama. Not too far from here, Rishi's ashrama. Some Rishis used to stay there. An old lady is there waiting for you. And she will give you more instructions on where to find Sita. So he disappears, goes to Gandharva Loka. He played his part. Rama Lakshmana go to looking for the ashrama. They find the ashrama. That ashrama, only one old lady was staying there. There were no rishis. All the rishis, they had done their practice and achieved liberation, had disappeared. They were all liberated and leaving this lady alone who was serving as their help. Her name was Shabari. And when the last Rishi, Matanga Rishi was the head of the ashrama. When the last Rishi left, he told Shabari, you wait here for some time. Sri Rama, Lord himself has taken the form of Sri Rama. He is in Chitrakuta now. He will come here looking for Sita. and you give the information, whatever you know, and he will, Rama Lakshmana, release you from your life, and will get liberation from the hands of Rama. So Rishi disappeared. So Shabari was waiting there for a long time patiently, counting days when Rama is coming, like that. There's a very beautiful Kannada song, Kadire Volu Shabari, like that one. So after a long time, Rama Lakshmana appear. And then they see this old lady Shabari. Shabari treats them with hospitality, gathering all the fruits and whatever she could gather, and washes Rama's feet and takes the prokshana, sprinkles water on her head, does all those things. And then Sri Rama asks Shabari, do you know anything about my wife Sita? Shabari says, a short distance from here, there is a lake called Pampa Lake. You go there. Near the lake, there is a mountain. It's called Rishyamukha mountain. On the top of the mountain, when Vanara is there, Sugriva is his name. He's hiding there from his vicious brother Vali, who wants to kill him. Vali cannot go to the mountain because of a curse, so he's there. You go to Sugriva, make friendship with him. He will help you to find Sita. Sita is in Ravana's Lanka, Sri Lanka. She is there, held captive by Ravana. Sugriva will help you to regain Sita. So then Rama gives the instruction, these 14 things. Then she enters into the fire, gives up her earthly human body and disappears and achieves liberation. That's Shabari's story. These instructions that Sri Rama gave, 14 instructions, that many of you have the list. If you want, I can give a copy of the list here. The 14 instructions are Holy Company, Sadhu Sangha. Second is spiritual talk. Third is devotional singing and chanting. Fourth one is study of the teachings of the Lord, teachings of Vedanta, God's teachings. Fifth one is serving the teacher, Guru, one's own Guru, seeing the presence of God in the Guru. Sixth one has 3 subdivisions. 6a, leading a virtuous life, Punyashilatvam. Virtuous life means performing yajna, dana, tapas, austerities, taking God's name, they're all virtuous life. 6b is practice of Yamaniyama. Yamaniyama came in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which some of you are studying with Swamiji right now. Yamaniyama. 6c is worship of God daily. Every day you have to worship God. Simple worship is enough. The Gita, Sri Krishna says, worship need not be very elaborate. Simple worship with Panchopachara Puja, or only a leaf or a flower, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, Yome, Bhaktya, Prayachati, that is enough. With devotion, Bhakti is the main thing that God looks for in our worship. Not the elaborate rituals, how many mantras we chant, how many offerings we do, not necessary. So that is daily worship, 6c. Seventh instruction was japa and meditation. Each of them is a big topic in its own. We can go on for many hours. 8 has 4 subdivisions. 8a is worshipful service of God's devotees. When we see a devotee of God, we have to see God's presence in the devotee and worship the devotee. How else can we worship God? He comes in the form of people, devotees. Sri Ramakrishna said that God dwells in everybody's heart. Even in wicked people's heart, animals' body also God dwells. They are not aware of that one. But His presence is most clearly palpable, visible in the life of a devotee. Because the devotee has meditated on God, experienced God's presence, then we can see the divine presence very clearly in the body of a personality of a devotee. So Sri Ramakrishna said, the heart of a devotee is God's drawing room. If a person has a big mansion, so many rooms are there, and then most of the time the owner stays in one room, the drawing room. Like the devotee's heart is God's drawing room. So if we see a devotee, we should worship him, seeing God's presence in the devotee. That is 8a. 8b is seeing God in all the beings, not only in devotees, in every being. How to see God in all the beings, a very huge topic. I shall read one short paragraph of how one of our Swamis saw God in everything. You all heard about Swami Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivananda, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, second president of the order. When he was president of the Ramakrishna Order, worldwide order, he used to stay in the Belur Math headquarters, and he had some young Swami assisting him. Attendant Sevak was there. And Mahapurush Maharaj was very sick in his old age. He had asthma and heart trouble and stroke and everything. So he could not do much. He would sit down on a recliner. In India, we call them easy chair, a recliner. He would sit down on it because he could not sleep. Breathing problem was there, so he has to recline. So at night he would stay awake, could not sleep. So what happened was, at one time when he was president, every day the devotees go there to have darshan of the president. Even now that's the practice, I think. They stand in a line at 10 o'clock in the morning to see the president. They one by one they go, they do pranam, and the president blesses them, gives them prasad, and they move. So that was happening. When Mahapurush Maharaj was the president, when people used to go to see him, the president, have his darshan and blessings, he would do prostration to the devotees. These are all householders. And it was very difficult. They were embarrassed. The president of the order is doing pranam to me. I am supposed to do pranam to him. They were confused. But he would do that one. Before they could do pranam to him, the president did pranam to the devotees who had gone there to seek his blessings. Then the attendant Swami asked him, Maharaj, they come here to see you and get your blessings, do pranam to you. Why you are doing pranam to them? Maharaj said, I cannot help. I see God in them. How can I not do pranam if I see God clearly standing there in the form of that person? So that happened. At that time, this incident happened. No, here. This from the book For Seekers of God, which many of you studied, this Swamiji. On another occasion also, it was dead of night. Mahapurushji was seated on his bed deep in meditation. After a long while, he started opening his eyes at times and closing them. Just then, a cat entered the room and mewed. He looked in that direction and saluted the cat with folded hands. The attendant nearby could not at first understand why he was saluting the cat. So he looked inquiringly at Mahapurushji, who then explained, Look here, my boy, the Master has now brought me to such a state that I see everything as nothing but consciousness itself. The same consciousness is at play through everything, houses, furniture, beds, bedstead, and all creatures. The difference is only in names, but there is oneness behind them all. I can see that very clearly, so that I cannot check that mood, however much I may try. That consciousness shines even through this cat in all its brilliance. Same as Sri Ramakrishna's experience that we are familiar with. That is how sages have been able to see God's presence in all, including inanimate objects. Animals and plants, good people, wicked people, all of them, same divine is present. That's one theme of Vedanta, basis of Vedanta. That was the next instruction, seeing God in all beings, 8b. 8c, non-attachment to sense objects, that we studied. 8d, tranquility, Shama and others, that we studied this morning. Last one was inquiry into the nature of reality, Tattva Vichara. So after giving all these 14 instructions, Shabari entered into fire and left, got liberation. But the question remains, these 14 things, how many of us can do? How much of it can we do? Ordinary people, we can hardly do one or two of these things if you try hard. Then Rama gives all these 14 things. So unrealistic it appears. How can you expect people to do all these 14 things? Why the time and ability to do all these 14 things? Then Sri Ramachandra knows that one. Finally, at the end of giving this instruction, Sri Ramachandra understands that for majority people it is not possible to do many of these things. Then he says, concluding instruction to Shabari, he says, I have given these 9 instructions, 9 or 14 instructions depending on how you count. I know most people cannot do these things. But of these 14 things, if anyone can do one thing, other things will come by themselves. He pointed out one thing. What that one thing is, can you guess? Out of 14 things, Rama says, if a person does one of these things, points out only one of these 14 things, that is enough. Other things will come by themselves. He made it so easy. It appears so difficult when you see the big list. Then he says, do one thing. That is enough. Other things will come on their own if you wrote the one. What is that one thing that Rama pointed out of these 14 things? Sadhu Sangha. First one. Sadhana Sangha. First one instruction was Satam Sangati Revatra Prathamam Sadhanam Smritam. Prathamam Sadhanam means the first means to realize, to achieve pure devotion. Satam Sangati, the company of holy people. If you do that one, then all other things will come on their own. So Rama's final instruction was, O noble lady, whoever is endowed with these disciplines, whether it be a woman, man or brute creation, whoever be the educated or uneducated, cultured or not, does not matter, rich or poor does not matter. Whoever does these things, that person will have bhakti characterized by intense love, so pure devotion, not seeking something from God. When such bhakti is generated, the truth about my nature will dawn upon such a person. Realizing me in that way, one will attain mukti in this very birth. Then he says, therefore it is firmly established that bhakti is the cause of mukti. If a person has succeeded in the first of these disciplines, first is Satam Sangati, Sadhu Sangha, holy company. If a person has succeeded in the first of these disciplines, namely the association with holy people, then the others will follow one by one gradually. Therefore, it has been declared that bhakti is mukti. So I made it very simple. What appears so difficult, 14 different things, how can I do? Made it very simple at the end. Just do Sadhu Sangha. This is what Sri Ramakrishna, Narada, they all emphasize Sadhu Sangha. Holy company, holy company. That will engender in us, produce in us desire to know God, mumukshutva, desire to have liberation will come. Our attachment to worldly sense objects, expecting happiness from them, will become less and less. Our attraction towards God becomes more and more. Our mind becomes calm and pure, because holy people are those who can see God within us. If I go to a Mahatma, let's say for example like Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, he would not give any lecture or talk or instruction or do retreat, no such thing. He would just look at me, that is all. One look from such a person, no lecture, no talk, no question, no answer. My personality, whether I am a clerk or a president or educated or rich or poor, it didn't matter to him. He would see God. Piercing through the shell of personality, holy people see the presence of God within us. When they do that one, what happens? What does that do to me? It enkindles my awareness of God within me. I become aware of God. That's the power of holy company. They help us to become aware of God's presence within us, experience divine presence within us. That is the power of holy company. That's why we have to seek holy company. One instruction Rama gave, and that's a very, very nice, interesting part of Adhyatma Ramayana. I have taken too much time today. Now let us do the closing prayer. And Swami is giving a talk downstairs in the whole of nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all. There are a couple of announcements. Next Sunday, Swami Brahmarupananda, who used to be here, he is now in Hollywood, he is going to give a talk. His talk will be on Zoom, so you can watch from home. There is nothing happening here because he is speaking from California. The topic of his talk will be Descent of Light. It's only online and you can watch from home. That is next Sunday, a week from today. Then the other announcement is next month, April, second weekend, Ramnami weekend marks the 25th anniversary of this ashrama. 25 years ago, we started here. At that time, I happened to be here at that time. Swami A came from Hollywood, from Trabuco. This whole place was only full of trees. The building, nothing was there. Only that guest house was there, which was not in good shape. It was rebuilt, completely rebuilt. Nothing else was there. Now we can see a beautiful temple, one of the most beautiful Vedanta temples in the West. Swamiji created, and we are very fortunate. We wanted to have a big celebration, but because of COVID, we have to tone everything down. Therefore, instead of inviting all the Swamis, which we would normally do, we invite one Swami every month. So this year, this celebration will be on 3 days: April 8, Friday, April 9, Saturday, and April 10, Sunday. Swami Sarvadevanji, our President Maharaj in Hollywood, he will be coming here. He will be coming on April 6th, couple of days before. He will be here for a couple of days after the celebration. On April 8, Friday evening, the celebration starts with evening Arati. At 6:30 as usual, meditation, and Swami Sarvadevanji will give a opening talk. And then April 9, Saturday is a whole day program. Swami Sarvadevanji will give 2 talks, one before lunch, one after lunch. And the topic will be Sangha, Buddha to Vivekananda. Sangha means congregation of devotees. Earlier, devotees were doing individual sadhana only. There was no Sangha, there was no association, no organization, no mission, nothing. Later on, all this idea of mission came, because when people gather together, they can achieve much more than individual effort, sum of individual effort. The effect of synergy will be there. So Sangha became very important. So you will talk about that, 2 talks from Buddha to Vivekananda, and there will be bhajans. Then, of course, tea and snacks will be there, breaks. Evening, 7:30 p.m., Saturday evening, there will be classical music performance by Suranjan Banja Chaudhary. Classical musician will come, he will give performance 7:30, Saturday, April 9. And April 10th, Sunday, Ramnami Puja will be there at 11 o'clock. And after lunch, there will be a panel discussion of the Swamis. And the devotees will have time to participate and explain their experiences and expectations on Sunday. And evening Arati meditation. After Arati meditation, Sunday evening, April 10th, there will be Ram Nam Sankirtan. Please attend all of these. You can attend from home. It will be live streamed. If you can come, please come. Otherwise, you can watch the whole program from home. That's our 25th anniversary celebration. Thank you all for coming. Stay well, and God willing, see you next week, next Sunday. Before that, we have class every day of the week. We have something happening every day. Monday morning, we have a class on Narada Bhakti Sutra in Leisure World. Monday evening, Swamiji does Raja Yoga. Yes, Patanjali Raja at 8 to 9 p.m. Tuesday morning, Swamiji does spiritual talks, teachings of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Wednesday, there is Gita class at 11 o'clock. Thursday, Swami C gives a lecture from Hollywood, 11 to 12. And Friday evening, gospel class, Swamiji, 8 to 9 p.m. Saturday, there is Gita class at 2 p.m. And Sunday, service. So all of you come as much as possible or watch from home. Thank you and namaskar and stay well.